How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, MuniciPals? This is your boy Big C. We got Ashton on the pod this week as well. Second time guest, friend of the pod, TC, Tron Carter. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, guys. I'm good. Good to be with you. When was the last time I was on?
You were like one of our first 10 episodes. So, I mean, It's
Okay.
been over a year and a half.
Okay.
I think it was May of 21,
feels like
I think.
May of 21. Okay. So about 17 months, 18 months. So,
Yeah.
almost 20 months. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
well, good to be back
Tron,
on.
I saw you a year ago in person, though. So I guess I saw you with the Chunks at the Chunk event.
Yeah. At a
We
Corca.
had a couple beers. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I actually poured a beer on you by accident, obviously. That was a cool way
good.
of being like, hey, it's nice to meet you in person. And I think I poured half of a light beer on your pants, I believe. So I appreciate you willing to come on with the guy you spilled on you.
All good. I'm trying to make it back out to Chunks of the Chuck this year. So word on the street is that it's 3 loops on the north, which
That's correct.
That's right up my alley. So
yeah. And the provocative thing is going to be that we're doing it's like a blind draft for teams. So it's a two person event. So like it could be me and you. I could not see you the whole time. Like we don't know. So I think that's kind of the fun part is like truly it's a who's to say situation of, but I think that's great because like, you know, there's definitely people, our group is big enough out here. I mean, as you know, there's I think 150 people in this group of everything from members of Pasta Tiempo to people who play kind of golf up in the mountains. And it'll be fun just to get to know people because our group is so expansive that I'm actually hoping I get somebody whose name I've never even seen before. But that's the fun part of our group is like, I'm playing with somebody on Saturday, like literally put in our Slack channel in the RACDG. And then it's like, okay, well, here we go, playing with somebody new.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, obviously, it's funny, Sean, listening to, as we kind of talked last time, listening to Chop Session, like I know the fact that you've been experimenting with trumpet mushrooms. So there's some things I know deeply about your
yeah.
your
I had them last night, actually.
Yeah. Really? I mean,
yeah.
It's I mean, I started to dabble like there to the Whole Foods. I was like, I think I need to dabble in some trumpet mushrooms.
Yeah, I tried them last night with Marsala wine. I did like a Marsala cream sauce with some steak. It was good, but kind of not my, I don't know, the typical, like with the little bit of mustard and then just some of that kind of umami broth and a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of paprika, a little bit of nutmeg. It's good. But kind of like an earthy winter flavor. So
yeah. Well, you love it. Here this morning in the Bay Area, it was like 31 degrees, so we could definitely use some of those flavors. But I'm curious, this is not exactly on the agenda, but going off of that, did you love Korean food before you went to Korea, or is that something that came out of your travels? Because I did. I went to Korea and I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
This is
I liked it. Like I liked Korean flavors. I would go to, I'd seek out Korean restaurants, but like I don't think I knew, I had like a 10% view of what Korean food was. And I think now I've got like a 40% view of what Korean food is, but like I love, what I've had, I love it. I can't get enough of it. And it's so radically different from everything here, just the depth of flavor and all the different textures and the fermentation. And, there's just so many more variables that they add to, to the mix. They love condiments, like all the different, sauces and accoutrements that they add there. But yeah, overall, everything just felt really like there's just so much depth to it. And there's so much, there's just like a lot of conscientiousness where like they're, it's all ingredient driven, but that like there's like 25 steps to some of those ingredients, So yeah, I'm curious to keep dabbling in that because I've always liked, like I love Japanese food, I love Vietnamese food. Gosh, out by you guys, there's a Burmese restaurant called Burma Superstar. I've eaten there before, like that's good. I love Thai food. It's like I love Indian food. But there's something about Korean food that's just different. I like it more than all that stuff. So.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Next time you come out, it's like impossible to get impossible to get a reservation, but a restaurant here, San Wo-an, I believe it is. They just got a Michelin star. So
sick.
put that
Okay.
on your list. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's like true Korean food, Michelin star, right in the middle of the Bay Area. So you might have to pay somebody a kidney for a reservation, but put that on your list because we've been trying to go because it sounds really good.
Yeah,
but
it was cool. Last time I came out, the buddy and he took me over to Dublin area and for Indian food. Oh my god, it was like, I mean, I think I had heartburn for like 6 days afterwards, but man, it's like one of those like Indian bakeries, and oh, it was unbelievable. That was like one of the better meals I had last year.
Yeah, Fremont, Milpitas, like Dublin, Pleasanton, there's like a big Indian community. So I coached high school golf at Irvington High School in Fremont. And so 90% of my kids on my team were Indian. And so when we would go out and have dinner or like do any like team meals, it was always Indian food. And I mean, the places that my kids like parents would take me, it was these hole in the wall places, and they would order it family style. So in me being the white guy, it's like
you're like sweating through your
10 times hotter than if like I ordered it with my wife, and they're just pounding it onto my plate and saying, you got to try this, you got to try that. And I mean, any Asian food that you come across in the Bay Area is going to be hard to beat anywhere else in the country.
Totally.
I lived in the Bay most of my life, and I would say if they're going to pick any cuisine that they kill the most, it's got to be almost every Asian cuisine.
I always feel bad for Indian Americans, where I feel like they have like 10 times more breadth and depth in their taste buds and their flavor profiles, to where like I just feel like unless you're eating Indian food, that like food must taste so bland and so one note to them, to where they have so many other like layers of spice that hit different parts of the tongue, and it's just, there's just so much more going on with that food. So, and like I can't handle it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So
no, totally. I mean, that's I think Indian food's the one that makes me feel. I like to think that I'm decently cultured, but Indian food's the one. Someone's like Indian food, I'm like, nah, paneer hurts my stomach, and I'm like, it's like saying like American food. It's like, no, Domino's pizza. It's like I definitely need to like really get into Indian food, and then simultaneously make sure that I have no plans the next day, because it is the one thing that.
Well, yeah, and it's so different from like region to region too. Like there's, I mean, Southern Indian food versus, there's like, it's like radically different with, I think the North kind of being more like vegan or vegetarian versus, it's crazy. So
yeah. But John, speaking of Korea and your travels, we wanted to kind of start off with kind of a focus on a little bit no laying up, but I mean, keep this pretty broad. But like, obviously you guys did a lot last year. Tour South Scandinavia. That was kind of like, holy shit. That was like watching that last episode was like watching a movie that just kind of wanted to throw you the keys and be able to kind of decompress a little bit on last year, what you're proud of. Just kind of a recap on your 2022 year.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably, I don't know, probably music to your ears too. It was like most of those courses are public. The model is so much different over there. And not only are they public, like even, you could join one of them as like a member, and like they're open to the public, but you can join as a member, and it's like $700 a year would be like on the high end. Just a totally different, kind of relative cost over there, which is crazy because Sweden's like not a very inexpensive place. But yeah, we had Torsås, Sweden, Denmark, Norway. That was definitely surreal and, kind of a crazy 2-week trip. Kind of booting back up our film room series, really getting deeper into that. We had Crash Course going. We couldn't really figure out a through line for Crash Course. It was like, is this an architecture series? Is this a travel series? Is this us playing 18 holes of golf? And I think we kind of needed a catch-all for like, and like not every place we go is going to be like worthy of, like an architectural focus. So like we wanted something that we could kind of flex up or down based upon, the guests and the light that day, or if we wanted to play a match or anything like that. So we're kind of using that as like we're going to, like, for media days, like for US Open Media Day at LACC or US Women's Open Media Day at Pebble, like play matches during those, go to, like Ben and I are planning a couple trips, like go to some cool architectural places. But the through line of all of those is we're gonna show all 18 holes of the golf course, like every shot, like every shot from around. Like that's been kind of a shock of, like, for whatever reason, people like watching every shot of a golf round. And it's, some of it's just background stuff that you can put on while you're working or whatever. Or if you're traveling to that, that course or that area and you want to scope out, the course. So there's a lot of different reasons for it, but people have been really into those. So gonna definitely ramp those up. We did a few features last year as well. We did one like on George Wright up in Boston. That was probably one of my favorite public courses I played last year. Hadn't played there in like 5 or 6 years since we lived there. And then I think what else? Yeah, we did one of those on Aiken Golf Club as well. Another like just awesome public golf course that does it right and inexpensive and with like world-class facility. We did one on the dude down the street that runs like the local golf shop. That was the Caddy Shack, Don. He's one of a kind. We did one on Greeter Golf, and so I think those were fun. Those were one-offs. Got a few one-offs coming up. Going with a friend to Western Scotland. Going to do that. I've never been out. I've only been to Eastern, Northern Scotland, so never been out to the islands. So doing that in April. We got some special like documentary features that we're working on. DJ and the guys did the Stanford Ladies Week in the Life last year. We're trying to figure out if we're going to do one of those this year. And then just from like from a organizational standpoint, we brought on Kevin Van Valkenburg here recently, so we're trying to ramp back up our written side of the business and really make that kind of a core offering. So a lot on tap for kind of some successes in 2022, but really for the most part trying to solidify the business and make it so that it's kind of like we can do all this shit from like December, January, February, and then once like March hits and the weather gets good everywhere, we're on the road, we're filming, we're doing our live shows. Like that was another big thing that we added last year, was like doing live shows for the majors pretty consistently. This year we're adding live post-game recaps from not only the majors but also basically turning our Sunday night recap podcasts into live shows as well. So there'll be a video component to those. Cody's producing all that from Texas. We've gotten kind of all the technical stuff dialed on that front. We've got High Noon as a sponsor for those, which is great. We were drinking them anyway. Now they're paying us to drink them, so it's kind of a dream scenario there. But yeah, so that's kind of a core focus for this year, is really growing that side of things. Podcast keeps on rolling. Randy and I are really getting the trap draw chop sessions on like a regular cadence. I think that's been great. Neil and Cody are doing like the booth. That's like their new thing. So they're going to do 1 or 2 of those a month. We're going to fire up more perfect clubs now that we've got KVV on tap. So on the content front, everything's rocking and rolling. And I think trying to figure out, we don't have a tourist sauce scheduled for this year. We're going to do one, I think, Q1 2024. So take that where you will, thinking about where you can go in January or February 2024, where you can play golf during those months. But yeah, it's business is growing, but we're trying to kind of grow conscientiously and not be all things to all people. Kind of stay true to like, hey, we're for golf sickos, we're for our core audience, and we'll keep growing that sustainably, but we're not trying to be, some mainstream golf media outlet. Like we want to be kind of the same thing that the day ones fell in love with in the first place. So, and then, yeah, just like personally speaking, I guess trying to think of, I'm probably front running the agenda here, but just thinking about like public golf courses I played last year, that really stuck out. Aiken Golf Club and George Wright definitely kind of tops of the list. Got down to the Palm Beach par 3 again. That place rules. That place is awesome. It's like, I don't know, probably one of the most expensive pieces of land in the entire country. And it's just crazy cool. Got back out to Chambers. Got to play Chambers for the Olympic Prolific. Got to play with Michael Greller the day before. Went out with him. That was awesome. Squid joined us for that. So that was cool. That place is just such a treat. I can't believe it exists and that people somehow find negative things to say about it. It's just crazy good. I don't think what else. I mean, really last year, like I really didn't get to play as much golf as I would have liked. And so this year kind of getting back to like, I don't know, like I'm going to the range tomorrow. Like I don't think I've been to the range like other than like playing, warming up for months on end. So I'm really excited to like, I've got the bug again, which is great.
So you got to indulge us a little bit. I'm with you on Chambers. I absolutely hate everybody's take on it. I actually said in a recent pod, and you could take this as you will. I think Chambers is a better golf course than any course that I've played at Bandon.
I've said the same. I've said I'm not sure I would say better, but I would say I would put it on par with like the stuff you would find at Bandon.
Put there and be equally as good as any course
Correct.
out there. Yeah.
Like the only knocks on it are like it's a beast of a walk.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean like people shit on it because of the greens a few years ago. Well, they've replaced the greens, and I don't know, there's variety, that it's in great shape. It's like the most scenic golf course I've ever played, I think. I mean, it's like from a postcard. It's crazy.
Next time you go out there, go and play the home course.
I've played there.
Have you? So what's your thoughts?
I do not like the home course.
So tell me why you didn't like it, because because I have decent feelings about it. I don't think it's the best course I've ever played, but I actually think it's a pretty good course. But I would love to hear you on that.
Well, yeah, it was, I don't know, so many people have been kind of gassing it up, like, oh my God, when you're out here, you got to play the home course. So like, that was part of the event, played a couple of years ago. And it was just, I don't know, like we played the first 2 or 3 holes in the dark, or in the fog, like it was super foggy, and then it burned off. 7, like the really straight away, like par 4 over the hill that's got like cool views and stuff. Like that one's cool. I thought the back 9 sucked. I mean, like I know they've like rerouted some of the holes because they had like a dispute with the dude that owned a house on the golf course who was pissed off that like balls were coming into his yard. And it's like, yo, you bought a house on a golf course. But like, like that par 3 over the water's weird. I don't know. Some of it was probably expectations, versus reality, or like, what I expected. We played Gold Mountain, the Olympic course at Gold Mountain, the next day or 2 days later. I thought that place was freaking awesome. Like I thought that was a much better golf course than the home course, in my opinion.
Next time, go and check out Shalish Cliffs. So it's owned by an Indian tribe up there. It's actually owned by a casino. But it's a really, interesting design, weaves in and out of the mountains up there. Really tight with all the evergreen trees, but it is a beast of a track. I think their course rating is like 75.6 from like 6,800, and they stretch out to like 73.
And the ball does not fly out there either.
Even though it is up in elevation just a little bit, it's like 300 elevation because it's right next to the Puget Sound. So it feels like you're in the mountains, but the ball doesn't fly like you're in the mountains, and it plays long and hard, but it's also like just a very strategically designed, well-designed course. So next time you come out to Chambers, check out Chalish Cliffs and see. Let me know how you like it.
Okay, definitely will. Yeah, I think it's one of those things too. I think the like I haven't been to Gamble yet. That's like really high on my list to get to Gamble and Wine Valley for that matter. But it's just, gotta commit to that, right?
I mean, if you love movies, I mean, Dan Hickson has been just putting out gems out here.
Yeah, I'm stoked to play Bar Run at some point too.
That's where we're holding our tournament in September this year. We're going to do our Ryder Cup style tournament at Bar Run this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think I don't know, last year we had a couple of big trips they kind of we had a St. Andrews, Scotland trip that was originally planned for 2020 that got pushed into 2021 and then pushed into 2022. So that was we flew there the Sunday, basically Masters Sunday. We met everybody there. So we had that, and that was great. And talking about public golf courses, I think I had played the old course quite a few times, and I've played, a lot of the courses around there, but I hadn't really spent a lot of time on the other courses at St. Andrews. I played the new a couple times, but I'd never played the Jubilee or the Eden. Those are great courses. The front nine of the Eden course there is unbelievable, and it's, I don't know, you can play it for $50. The Jubilee course, back nine of the Jubilee is awesome. It's, there's just great golf to be played, and you don't have to, wake up at 2 a.m. to queue up for it and all that. But then, and then 2 weeks later, we had planned this trip to Bandon. So we had the Bandon trip 2 weeks later. So ended up adding a little bit of time onto the Bandon trip and went to Gearhart on the front end. Spent a night in Portland and then went to Gearhart and drove down the coast from there. But Gearhart never gets old either. I love that place.
Brown told me you guys were in town. He texted me. I was actually doing fits, and he's like, "Man, are you free today? The guys are coming out. We're gonna play Gerhardt. We're gonna go hit up the Chinese bar.
Yeah, the Great Wall. Yeah,
the Great Wall." He goes, "We're gonna have a day. You should come out." I was like, "Thanks for the heads up." You text me, the morning of. Wasn't able to make it out there. I was super bummed. But Matty Brown told me you guys were in town, and I was like, oh, if only you gave me just a heads up, I would have hit up Akbar. We would have made it a whole thing.
Yeah. No, it was fun. We Forrest superintendent, we went over to his house afterwards. It was great. Went up to Highlands, Matty's little spot up there. I don't know. That place just makes me happy.
The big thing was you should have seen Chris, because Chris was look, Matty Brown's the man, but Chris was very smitten. On that day we played Astoria, which the only reason that stunk is they had just aerated the greens. Matty was like, okay, you can play Astoria or you can play Gearhart, whichever. We're like, we got to play Astoria. Get there, stand all over the greens. Still had a great time. Yeah, we get to the Chinese.
That place is wild.
I mean, the half pipe hole, number 3, 4. You're like,
yeah. What shit? There's 8 of them. There's 8 half pipe holes. It's crazy.
Threw a drive over on the other side of one of the half pipes, and he gets over there, and I'm standing at the top, and Ashton's just like, "What do I do?" Yeah. I just stand at the top holding a club up, so he knew exactly it at least had a line to the hole.
It's crazy. It's true. I've never seen anything even remotely like it. I remember the first time I played there, it was mid to late August or early September, and the place was just burned out and so dry, and it was so fun. It was awesome. So
yeah, we had a little wet and sandy, but enough to know the place was so cool. But we got to the Chinese place, and he was like, I'm so hungry. He's like, you got to get the grilled cheese. And I was like,
grilled cheese.
You're a wonderful guy. I'm not doing it. I'm getting then Chris orders it asked for a side of ketchup and was like, "This is the best grilled cheese I've ever had." I'm like, dude, it's literally fucking like white bread in Kraft singles. But
I can't.
Big Chris is
Dude,
just eating the grilled cheese like with this big smirk on his face.
I can't hang with those guys up there. They like they get on their
No.
gin martinis and like they get 4 or 5 deep, and then like Jason wakes up at 6 a.m. and opens up the golf course the next day, and I'm like I feel like it's the, you know, I've died like 6 times before. So
yeah, and Maddie was like, "Let's have another round," and we're like, we gotta drive home, man. Like we got like an hour and a half home in the dark. Like no way.
yeah.
Oh man. Well, you have to indulge us a little bit. You got to tell us about the acquisition of KVV, because all of us text each other almost.
Acquisition? Is this like a tech company? Like
Yeah.
I mean, taking him from where he was at, that's a big move. So I mean, you know,
yeah, it was definitely like surreal. Yeah, like I mean, yeah, like hiring someone who, you know, he's like senior writer for ESPN. I don't think they don't have too many of those, and he's like their senior NFL writer, or one of their 2 or 3 senior NFL writers, and like, you know, like guys like Wright Thompson, who's like a massive role model of mine, or you know, Don Minata, like, you know, all those guys. It's like seeing Mina Kimes and Wright Thompson and other people like, you know, congratulate KVV after we hired him. It's like, holy shit, man! Like this is, you know, like, you know, definitely knew that he was, you know, the guy, but like it just kind of impressed upon us even more of like, all right, this is pretty surreal, pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, he just, you know, it's like he had kind of gotten pigeonholed into golf a little bit and wanted to, or into football a little bit and wanted to, you know, do more golf, and it just wasn't happening at ESPN. And, you know, we've been talking about it with him for probably over 2 years now, and time was finally right on our end. He's got a really cool thing coming out on psychedelics. You know, it's like for like former athletes and like, you know, soldiers and like people who've dealt with PTSD and like head trauma and stuff, of like, all right, like, you know, and just like joint pain, of like kind of natural healing and all that. So like he was like, I want to see this story to the finish line. Like it'll be on TV. It'll be like an E60, and it'll be like a whole feature on, you know, ESPN.com. So I think he's got that coming out in the next month or two. I think like mid to like late March or early April, I think, on that. But like, you know, I think there was a ton of red tape with like Disney on that front of like, you know, getting that approved and all that. So that was a multi-year project for him.
I know that
like he went down to like, what's that?
Ricky Williams. I remember I was living in Roseville, which is just outside of Sacramento, and he moved like 20 miles up in Nevada City when he left the Dolphins, and ended up buying a house up there. And then he got really into alternative medicines and psychedelics and everything that was kind of helping him with his head trauma and things that he experienced through football. So I'm really excited to kind of hear about that, because I used to run into him all the time at the grocery store and like around town, because he would just like walk around Nevada City without shoes on, just hippieing it up, just being Ricky.
Funny. Yeah, like I mean, this piece at KVV, like not to spoil any of it, but like, you know, he's down at like this retreat, and I think it was like Jamaica or St. Lucia. I think it was Jamaica, and he's with like Patrick Willis and Temu Solani and, you know, a Navy SEAL, and like just, you know, like some very kind of thoughtful, like very, very high achievers, right? And, you know, trying to figure out like, all right, like, is this for real? And, you know, he's like, dude, absolutely, like this is like 100% for real. It's crazy. You know, and it's a hell of a lot better than, you know, taking a Percocet or taking a, you know, Oxycontin. It's like, you know, there's something to be said for it and for natural healing. And it's, you know, I mean, like, I don't know if this is like, I don't know who listens to your podcast or anything like that, but like a few years ago, we went out to Ballyneal out in Colorado, in eastern Colorado, after the first event we ever held was at Common Ground Summit, and ended up like going out to Ballyneal the next day. And I'd never I'd never eaten like psychedelic mushrooms before. And I went out like second round of the day. Like we just got like, we were with a friend of ours who was like, hey, like I'm going to take you through this or whatever. Dude, I felt like a different person for like 2 months afterwards, like in a good way, like just so much more at peace and like just cogent. And, and I don't know, it was like it was one of the coolest experiences of my life. I haven't really done it since, and I'd like to like get back to that, but I don't want to like try to recreate that exact experience either. But man, it was like, and I played really, 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 really good golf too. Like I mean, I was like, I think I shot 75 with 4 doubles. Just like I was trying to make everything inside of like 200 feet or 200 yards. Like just, I was like, all right, we're up at altitude. It's, however, add 10% or whatever. And it was like anything inside 5-iron, I was just like, I was trying to hold it. It was crazy. And, the greens at one point were like pink and blue and purple. It was, it was wild, but like we landed that plane, it was kind of, it was a very, very interesting experience, but,
that you should have that experience though. Like I will say my 20s were filled with experiences just like that. And, I would say the best way, if I could give anybody, advice on it, the best way is to do it unexpectedly, unplanned, and with the right people in the right environment. Because the big thing is all about the experience and the environment that you put yourself in. And if you over plan or you over indulge, or you're with the wrong people, it can go sideways very fast.
Yeah.
And so being kind of out in an open space, like being on a golf course, being with a person that has experience and kind of can bring you along that journey, having that Sherpa is
exactly.
the way. Like you need to have that person that has the prior experience to bring you along, especially if it's your first time.
And dude, it was wildflower season. I mean, like the wildflowers were popping, the sun was setting. It was incredible. It was insane. And like I remember on one hole, like it's like 13th or 14th hole. It's like a par 4. There's like 3 sets of centerline bunkers out there, like varying distances off the tee. And I remember standing on that tee for like, like everything was pretty quick, but like I remember standing on that tee and I was like, what is Tom Doak asking me to do here? And I'm like, I'm shooting each one of the bunkers and I'm like, this is crazy. There's one at like 250, there's one at 270, there's one at 290. Like I could hit anything. I had never gotten that involved in like a decision-making process off the tee. I remember at one point the caddy was just like, dude, just hit the fucking ball, man. hit it down the middle. And I was like, I don't want to hit it down the middle here. He's telling me not to hit it down the middle, telling me to like take it off the right here. And, so, no, but yeah, like back to KBV, like that's been it's been cool because I think it opens up a ton of storytelling opportunities for us that are beyond video, right? I think video is like very, very limiting. I mean, it's extremely impactful and valuable, but it's at like the top of the food chain as far as like telling a story in a rich and compelling way. But it's really, really like time consuming, and it just takes like so many man hours between shooting it and editing it and producing it and clipping it up into different promos and then putting it up on YouTube and finding the music for it and all that. Like it's crazy versus like, a podcast, like that medium or written stuff or a photo essay or, all sorts of stuff. So I feel like we're getting back to, adding more tools back into our toolbox of like, not everything needs to be a tourist sauce trip, but also like there's certain stuff that should be more than a film room, right? Like there's certain 2 or 3 or 4 day trips, and we do a good job of it with Strapped, right? But like, how do we tell different stories in different mediums? I think getting our website back up and running is great. I think it's it's certainly helpful to have, like, we've leaned on KVV over the last few years just from like just as a friend and like kind of peer of like advice on how to cover certain stories or how to source certain things, or hey, do you think this is good to report, or do we need more behind this? Do we need to talk to a couple more sources? Stuff like that. I think there's, he's such a resource on that front. I mean, shit, he's out at Riviera this week. Like, he asked Tiger a couple questions in the presser yesterday. He like Rory and him had a great conversation on the putting green yesterday. Like, I think this morning, like he just uncovers so much more. And I feel like we've found out, or like learned, that we can cover, like, we tend to cover golf best from home, if that makes sense. Like I plan to go to the US Open for the first couple of days, like Tuesday through Thursday or something like that this year, and then fly home and like do the live shows from home, just because it's between traffic and you just don't see anything on site either. But at the same time, there's something missing if you don't, like, not having an on-site presence. There's so much doesn't get reported and gets lost through the message, like through TV or through reporting, where if we have a set of eyes and ears out there. So like KBB is going to go to all the majors, both men's and women's, for us this year, or at least three out of the 5 women's ones. He's going to go to the Ryder Cup, and he's going to go to, like, he's at Riviera this week. He's going to go to, like, he'll probably go to Memorial. He'll go to some other events kind of throughout the calendar. And, it's so additive to the rest of our content. Like, it gives us more stuff to reference on the podcast. And it, like, when we want to travel or when we're on tourist sauce or anything like that, like, he'll be involved in some of those trips, but also it takes pressure off of us to be on the pod every week. Like, it's one more qualified person to add that can take the pressure off, and we can pass the ball around a little bit. So, plus it's just credibility too,
Yeah. Well, that's like where I felt for you guys when you guys were on your Scotland trip and you were trying to cover the Masters. And I was like, this is both the coolest thing ever and a terrible idea all at the same time. Like, I was like,
yeah,
totally. I just knew it wasn't coming across, but I was like, I just know how tired you guys must be in that moment.
Well, that's
like,
the thing. It's like you
one
want to
time
wake
you
up
ever
and like you want to like wake up and play golf, but it's like, all right, because not only like you record the podcast, but like you do a podcast, especially a live one, like you're essentially like you're wired for like the next couple hours, so you're not gonna be able to fall asleep. So like we're doing these at the rounds end at 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern, so midnight we'll say, and then we're going live at midnight. We finish up at, we'll say, 1:30, and then you're basically up till 3, and then waking up in the morning trying to promote it on it's just, it was a lot.
So, talking about business acquisition, since Ashton wanted to roast me, one thing I when I saw you guys joining Titleist, I'm really excited to kind of get your thoughts on that. We chatted a little bit through DMs about it. What are your thoughts, kind of joining Titleist, difference between fitting from Callaway? And of course, I don't want to get you in trouble and roast anyone or talk bad about anybody. But what have you seen the big difference of, and what are you excited about the act, joining on to Team Titleist?
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all, nothing but positive things to say about Callaway. Like, they were partner for 6 years, still friends over there. And I think the biggest thing was, like, we started working with them when we were a different company. Like, we all had day jobs. They gave us our initial boost to be able to quit those day jobs and to kind of signal to other brands, hey, these guys are kind of safe to work with, or they're kind of whitelisted to work with. So, nothing but gratitude for that. I think a lot of the people that we had initially worked with had since moved on, the Harry Arnett's and the Chad Colemans of the world. AJ Volpel, like, a lot of those guys had moved on, and we'd been through a couple of different iterations. And, some of the guys that we were working with over there were still, like, good friends and highly collaborative. But I think just from a company standpoint too, they're definitely very Topgolf focused. They're very, like, millennial, almost like Gen Z focused, where they're just they're more about trying to broaden the base of golf and, truly grow the game and get new people started in it. And I think the good sponsorship probably fits better for them at this point than like us. Like we tend to have more of like a core enthusiast golfer that, either grew up playing or came to the game late, but is obsessed with it, and I think there's much more of like an alignment with Titleist, where I think came together. Like we didn't really think that, I don't know, for whatever reason, like we just thought, all right, like Titleist doesn't really play in this space. And I don't know, we kind of floated it out there through Gideon, who represents us out there. And, he came back to us kind of, I don't know, like mid to like late third quarter last year, and was like, hey, like there's like a mutual interest there. And, that was kind of the one company that we would have jumped. Like there was like loyalty counts for a lot for us. So I think, we've gone, like we basically said to them, we're like, all right, like if we're going to jump ship from Callaway, we want a multi-year deal so we can have some stability and some, just kind of the peace of mind, but also like the product cycles. Like having to film a bunch of stuff in January or February is not conducive to our schedule and to weather here in North America. And like, to playing golf on interesting golf courses versus like, having a 2 or 3 year deal. It's like you can, and Titleist has longer product cycles. So they release everything kind of every 2 years, which kind of jives more with what I'm about. Like I think sometimes with Callaway, it got to the point of like, all right, the new stuff's out. I was like, shit, I just got just the old stuff that came out last year. And I really, I really like that 3-wood, or, I really like that putter. And they were always cool about like, if you really like something, like keep it in the bag. But I think over like 5, 6, 7 years, like it's like a snowball. Like you just pick up a bunch of stuff along the way, both good stuff and bad stuff. So I think we had, like, personally speaking, in our own golf bags, like we had all picked up some good stuff that still fit and some bad stuff that, like, we hadn't been fit for, but we just thought that was our, like we had preconceptions that, all right, this is what I should be playing versus no, like this over here is what you should be playing. The FootJoy thing was big too, like having, kind of having a footwear brand there. Like that was a huge selling point for me. I wear it's like the high noon thing. Like I'm wearing FootJoy anyway. If I can get somebody to pay me for what I love to wear.
Said when you guys announced that you were with Titleist, we were like, or with a CuseNet basically all around, we were like, Tron of anybody is going to go ape shit on the FootJoy deal, because he's going to be able to do my joys. He's going to be able to get all the like limited stuff that they release. Yeah. I just saw that they're going to be putting a bunch of really cool stuff out with metalwood.
Yeah, those just showed up in a nice box here yesterday morning, and I was like, oh, sick! Like that was a nice surprise to get. They got some really cool stuff coming out. That's it's just, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like everybody that we've dealt with over there has been a complete golf sicko. Where like it's very much like it just, like, I grew up playing Titleist stuff. Like I grew up playing a 975J driver, and a 975D, and then a 975J, and then a 983K, and I had DCI 962 irons for forever, and like I had Tommy Armour Silver Scots, and I had the 962s, and then the 971s, and then the 990s, and it's like, and then like I had the 975F, and I had Vokeys, I had a Futuro putter. It's like the stuff was always spoken to me because it's like so clean and understated, and there's not a bunch of fucking graphics on the face, which is kind of like, I don't know, like that's what killed me about some of the Callaway stuff the last couple of years. It's just like, there's like we just don't need the loud colors, right? Like the clubs are good, right? Like you guys don't like, but I guess, I don't know, marketing felt otherwise, and I'm sure there's all sorts of market research that that says otherwise. But like, I found myself like doing the custom stuff that like to black out all of the, all the graphics, or getting stuff, getting something off the tour van that, whereas like, I feel like with Titleist, like if it's worth having a pro play it, like it's available to the public kind of thing, like, I don't know, like I've just been because I bought the last driver I bought before we signed with Callaway was a Titleist 915. And like looking back, like that was probably the worst driver I could have bought. Like that thing was like slow as shit. And like they're the first ones to tell you that. They're like, oh yeah, that was kind of like our dark period. And then, and then like so like that was kind of the thing. And then I remember going out there a couple months ago and testing this stuff, and I was like, holy shit, man. Like, and I mean, like I went from playing I had a Callaway God, what was I'm already like out on the nomenclature. The last year's whatever the Epic,
the Rogue,
Rogue ST Pro triple diamond, but not the LS, like a like the Tour head triple diamond. It was like one that Xander had tested out of like a batch of 5, and then the center of gravity was like a little bit too far inside for him. So I ended up playing that. It was like an 8, and it was like an 8 degree or it was a 9 degree, and I had it tuned down to like 8 degrees, and then I had like super heavy shaft in it, very stiff, very boardy, and like I just eliminated the left side of the golf course with it. And I've always fought against like spin, like backspin, and so we go out to Titleist, and the guy like they had me in a what they had me in. Lucas had me in a like we started with a 10 degree, and then he was like, all right, like don't hate me, like we're gonna try out an 11 degree driver here. And I was like, dude, my spin rates are gonna be out of control. And like sure enough, like my spin rates went down. It was crazy. And like, I still got like I've got a Tour stiff shaft in it, like a Ventus black. But like somehow over the last couple of years, like I've always played a little bit shorter driver shaft because I don't like to really choke up that much. I just play it like right off the end, and I've always played like a 44.5 or 44.75. And I was back to like a standard size shaft somehow, and like even just going back to the regular, my little bit shorter shaft has been like so much more control. Or I went from like a 80 gram shaft to I think it's like a 55 gram shaft, and I gained so much speed with that. I have a 24 degree hybrid in the bag right now. That's just, like the 4, like I was like, guys, like I have to have a 4 iron. And they're like, no, you don't. And like here, like, all right, hit 20 balls with this T200 4 iron, and then hit 20 balls with this 24 degree hybrid, and like we'll compare the data. And it was like we didn't even have to compare the data. it was a no-brainer. Yeah, and just like Bob Vokey was out there doing the wedges with us. But one of the things that was kind of interesting, like when we came out with that first video, people on our message board were like, oh, like this is a fitting that like is available to you guys, but it's not available to anybody else. And I'm like, no, it is. Like you can go down to TPI and like pay $600. And like, yeah, it's not cheap, but like you can go do that. Like I would almost say go do that, and then figure out how to piece together that bag instead of just going out and spending $3,000 on a new set of golf clubs. Like it's like that to me is more important than the clubs themselves. Is like knowing what, you can go find the used stuff if you need to, but like knowing what to set out to get, I think is really important.
I mean, I don't have to say it, and I'm not going to say it because Ashton, I can already see your head shaking. But I mean, this is what I do for a living. No, I don't work for Titleist, but I
know. Yeah.
And the 24 degree hybrid has just been an enlightening thing for so many people that I fit. Ashton's one of them. I'm one of them. We actually had a conversation with Garrett Morrison because I actually were one of the sponsors for the fried egg. And so he came in and I fit him in a whole top end of his bag, driver all the way through his hybrids. And one of the clubs I fit him in was a 24 degree hybrid. And he talked to us on the pod. He's actually on all of his ad reads. He talks about it. And he's like, it's the most insane, easy club to hit. He's like, there's no reason to have long irons in your bag when these things are legal and they exist and they're able to be used. Why would you ever go for a club that's going to penalize you when you could be on the 16th hole, tired as shit, like strong arm a hybrid, and the hybrid's going to give you so much forgiveness, it's still going to do what you want it to do.
Dude, it was eye-opening. The only thing I'm struggling with a little bit is just like I don't have anything to punch out with. Right? So I go from I've got a 7 wood. It's like a bent down to a 6 wood, I think. I've got a 16.5 degree fairway wood. And then I've got a T200 5 iron and T100 6 through 9, and then I've got Vokey the rest. And it's like, I'm kind of wondering, like, the T200s look so similar and so good, like where like I'm hitting that 5 iron so good to where like I'm like, should I just get T200 through the rest of the irons? Because it's like, it's not how good my good ones are, it's how good my bad ones are now. And but like, it's almost something where like I feel like I could probably get away with taking this, like getting a 4 iron or getting like a TMB or like that U iron that they've got, and like getting one of those and like putting that in the bag for certain rounds or for certain things. But I don't know, it's kind of a first world problem.
The U505 is incredible, and I mean they do the T200 also in a driving iron as well. So I mean both of them are really good. The only thing they'll probably say the same thing. If you went T200 through the entire set, you might have issues with height and spin when it comes down to your 9 pitching wedge. I don't know if you went Vokey in the pitching wedge or not.
Yeah, I got Vokey pitching wedge. Like I've got, and it's like that was the biggest eye-opening thing of just like from a fitting perspective of like starting in the middle of the bag and then working out from there, and the interchangeability of like the iron sets with them versus I think with Callaway it was like I had to build my own, like they've got one combo set, but otherwise it was like I had to build my own like Frankenstein set. Johnny Wonder and I like talked through it. It was like this Frankenstein set between like, Rogue ST Pros, because I don't like offset. So it was like Rogue ST Pros and then the Apex TCBs. But like, the 7 iron in the TCBs and the 6 iron in the road, like even though I blended the line or the lofts on them, it was still like 6 iron was completely juiced. But like in like I think all the emphasis upon like descent angle was so interesting to me, like apex and descent angle versus just spin rates and launch angle. But yeah, I think the other thing just from that perspective too is like I'm struggling a little bit with like the ball spins more, which is a good thing. Like I'm getting more spin on it, which is a good thing. Like with the right clubs, it's not spinning a ton off the driver and like that, but like I'm getting more spin on it with my irons and with my wedges especially. So I'm struggling a little bit like in the wind, because it's just not like, especially into the wind, I'm like I gotta get that sorted. It's just like a practice thing and getting new tendencies in place. But that's kind of been the biggest change, is like I can't get and it's weird. The ball's going really straight. So I can't get I like hitting a slight cut with my wedges, or like I just want to see it fall right, because I know exactly how far it's going to go then. Where ever since I switched over, I've been hitting this tight draw that like I used to hit when I was in high school and like a scratch. And like it means I'm hitting it really well, but it's so disconcerting because I tried so hard for like the last 6 or 7 years to get rid of anything resembling a left miss. But I'm kind of at the point now where I'm like, shit, like I'm playing golf like I used to play golf again. Like I should probably embrace it, But yeah, it's just, I don't know. The ball's going, like I'm trying, like I was up at Hilton Head a couple weeks, or up at St. Simon's a couple weeks ago. I was trying to hit like I was trying to hit like a hook 3-wood around this corner, and like, I hit like a 6-yard draw, just crushed it. It's like a 6-yard draw, and I'm like, fuck, man, like I need the ball to curve a little bit more. Like it's not a problem, it's a great thing, but man, it's like, it's just really different from my experiences over the last couple of years. The ball's really freaking good.
You and Ashton sounds so similar when I have conversations with Ashton after I fit him in his new irons, because he was just like, I had shot characteristics that I had with my Mizunos. Then we got fit into these Miras with these LA golf shafts, and the ball goes so much higher. He's like, it goes so much higher, it spins so much more. And he's like, it's not a bad thing. They go really straight. They go where I want them.
You just gotta like adjust all your expectations and you got new misses and all that. It's like new stuff to take into account, right? It's just more variables, but like once you get them under control, it's like,
Yeah,
I feel like you can like I think the best analogy I can use is like, I feel like I'm playing offense again instead of just like guarding against and playing like prevent defense or just trying to run the ball. Cause and granted, like some of it's just bad habits, but I feel like these clubs, it's like I haven't changed up the shafts like crazy. Like I'm playing Nippon Modus 120s. I was in Nippon Modus 105s with my Callaway set. Like they're the same, pretty much the same shaft, same profile and everything. It's literally just like the club and the ball, So, but like, yeah, it's like I feel like I'm hitting, like I'm not coming over the top as much. I'm hitting, I have more depth to my backswing. I'm coming inside, more hitting inside to out. It's like I'm using the ground and trying to hit up on the ball again instead of like, bashing it into the ground and just trying to put backspin on it.
Yeah, it's like with my Mizunos, it was like I didn't have any height, and then it's like it's meant to flex. Like we played Pasatiempo on Sunday, and it was kind of windy, and I was like, you know what? Like I'm gonna hit a kind of hold off 8-iron and like rip it off the top and like basically hit it to the top and try to rip it all the way down the hill. But I was like, didn't have that shot before. I didn't have an 8-iron that would actually like flight that way and then like be able to. Granted, I can rip it too much because you get Mira Head's LA Golf Shaft with the Pro V1X that I play. Like sometimes it can like zoom like hitting the shot into 16 at Pasa was absolutely terrifying to a middle flag. I was like, I'm gonna suck this into the ravine. But it is crazy how like just changing, like the clubs and the shafts and the ball are all different. But now it's like I went from hitting these like laser beams that couldn't hold greens to like hitting 8-irons like 130 feet in the air. It's like holy shit.
Yeah, no, it was crazy too. I mean, just like being there, and I mean Randy's got like the elderly lady driver. It's like Zach Blair, Nelly Court. It's like this. It's like maximum height, but like
R1.
Yeah. And but they were like, dude, like this fits you so well, and like
doesn't matter who's playing that. The TSR one, we just got him in because it was the last ad for the TSR line.
Yeah,
and that thing is insane. I sell more TSR hybrids than I do any of their other line. Like to dudes that have 93 to 100 mile an hour swing speeds with a hybrid, I'm selling TSR ones because it goes nowhere but straight.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy to watch Ben with this new stuff too. I mean, just like how nuclear he's gonna be. Yeah, but like Randy was the most eye-opening thing where I was like, holy shit! Like I've been playing golf with you for 15 years now, and like almost 20 years. I've never seen you hit the ball even remote that high. Like it was jarring. He beat the shit out of Poosh the other day. So
yeah, I was gonna say I know you can't talk about it on the trap draw, but I was working out, then I went on Twitter for a second. I saw Poosh adding the USGA, and I was like, holy shit, this might have been an epic ass beat. I mean, net 68, I guess, would equal an ass beating, but it sounds like he took him behind the woodshed.
But it's not like Randy, like it's not like he's been playing in Denver. It's not like Randy's gonna go to a simulator and practice. Like I think he literally took the plastic off of his driver, like on the driving range that morning. And it's like, all right, Poosh, like that's on you, man. Play better. But like, I mean, if Randy's getting off the tee, like he's impossible to beat just because he's gonna par you to death. Like he just doesn't hit the ball out of play, and if there's no forced carries out there, like he can just manage his ball around and he putts well, and but yeah, I mean it was crazy. Like Solly Solly working with JJ or like Aaron out there working on wedges and all. It was just like kind of a surreal experience of it's and the stuff's just so interchangeable too. You can truly build a bag with it. So.
Yeah, and the cool thing, it's the exact same situation that the tour pros go through. It's no different. Like what you guys went through on a fitting is the exact same thing when Jordan and Justin, all those guys go out and test out the new equipment.
Yeah, and KVV did it yesterday. Like he did it out at one of the, I don't know if he went to the performance center or went to the ad shoot or whatever, but basically worked with the guys, and it's like seeing what it does for him, for like his game's going to be sweet, because like we've all been fit in some form or fashion before, but I don't think he has, and he's probably a 12. He fluctuates between like a 7 and a 12, but he's never really had the right equipment, I don't think. So it'll be cool to see, and it was jarring to see like Casey, like just how much differently she was hitting the ball, within 30 minutes. I mean, she's like, oh my gosh, like this ball, like this stops, or this, I can get height on this hybrid, it's cool. And it's like, I don't know, I've like never been that much of a gearhead, but like when you see the results of stuff, you're like, whoa, like it kind of jolts you into, stuff. But then again too, it's great as well. We're like, we put this stuff in the bag, and like, I don't want to get new stuff every year. I don't want you to send me more stuff. I want to be happy with what I've got. And then like I want you to be begging me to put the new stuff in play because it's that much better versus just coming out with something new every year.
It's one of my things that I love to say to all customers is I don't want to see your face for 5 to 7 years after I teach you, unless one, you've worn your clubs out because you've loved playing them so much and we just need to get you some new grooves on your irons and wedges, or you're just so intrigued, or I've contacted you saying that the equipment has gotten that much better and it's worth coming in to test out. Like,
or you've gotten that much better, and your capabilities are higher, and you need stuff to do different things,
Yeah. If we're doing adjustments, and again, you usually don't have to go full new set. It's more of just getting you adjusted in new shafts, adjusting lies, lofts to get you back to certain aspects of your flight and characteristics that you can do. So I think it's one of those things where everybody should get custom fit. If it's TPI, if it's Club Champion, wherever it is, like, spend the money, do it correctly, instead of going and buying shit off the rack every year or 2 years and wasting your money. Like, people always talk about getting custom fit is so much more expensive, but it's like, also is buying a new set of irons every 2 years because you're not correctly fit in them and you don't fully fall in love with them. So you're spending $1,300 every 2 years on new sets of irons. I mean, spending $2,000 on a custom set of irons doesn't really sound that bad.
Well, it's going to enhance your enjoyment of every, you're probably spending a shitload of money to play golf anyway. Like, it's an investment instead of an expense if you're doing it right, Yeah.
So, Ashton, one thing you had on the agenda, what did you want to ask him about golf fashion trends? I know we don't want to keep them too long. We're already over an hour, but
you're good. I got like another 20 minutes until I got to run. So.
No, that was actually producer Jack. I mean, producer Jack. I've not said this to you, Jack. You're going to hear this as you're doing this, but seems like every couple of years, Jack sort of reinvents himself. Like when we met Jack, he was sort of a long-haired pirate, and now he's sort of like Gen Z earring, and so he's Mr. Fashion. So he wanted us to ask you any golf fashion trends, anything you're really into.
I'll take it back to Korea. When we went to Korea, the shit I was seeing over there was crazy. Like, to the point where like I want to go over to Asia, whether it's Japan or Korea. Like the amount of, whether it's FootJoy or like PXG apparel, even like they had like high fashion PXG stuff that like it's only like, I think they just basically license the word mark or the brand mark, but like FootJoy, Malbon, and PXG and Titleist. It was crazy. Like it was like high fashion. Like it was like Moncler, Gucci. It was like on par with some of the high end like European fashion house stuff you would see. Just very, very avant-garde, like cashmere sweaters and stuff, but with like dancing FJ logos on them, or Malbon stuff that you could never find in the United States. And like, I'm not a big Malbon in the United States, but like literally everybody in Korea was wearing it. It was like the most designer stuff you could find there, and like really expensive too. But like, just like very materialistic culture, I think. But yeah, like that was the most eye-opening thing. Like I'd always known Japan to be pretty fashion forward, avant-garde. Like, you go to Tokyo and the word's always been like you can see what people are going to be wearing in LA in 2 years, but like, dude, it's like Korea was just like that as well.
So it's funny you say that about Korea, because I had this customer, and he's still one of my customers, this guy, Jack Cha. I can't tell you what he does for a living. He says he owns many businesses. And I mean, he doesn't speak much English, but he walked into my shop and he says, I want PXG everything. Don't care the cost. I want the most expensive set you can build.
Yeah.
All PXG. So it's the first time, and he didn't hit a club. I didn't fit him. Nothing. Like you were talking about, it's like, it's a status symbol thing almost over there, so I had to actually research to find what the most expensive equipment I could actually fit him in. And every single one of his iron shafts were custom colored, like UST recoil graphite shafts that matched like a BB&F ferrule. Every grip was the specific color to match the ferrule. He bought a $1,500 PXG daft bag. It ended up being just over 12 grand for one set of golf clubs. And it was the most absurd thing I've ever experienced in my life. And then he just walks out to a Maybach with brand new plates. He doesn't live in America, so I don't even know why he was driving a brand new Maybach, but he was. Comes back, rips 12 G's in cash, pays me for the set, and then pays me another $1,000 as a tip, and then a $500 to have it expedited to be there within a week. And
man, it's like people were wondering about. I remember when Callaway came out with that new set those irons a couple months ago, and it's like, yeah, they were like bitching, and it's like it's not for this market, right? It's for the it's for the Asian market, and it's like the Zexio or the PXG, like
Hanma.
Hanma, yeah.
It's like, I think it's like $28,000 gold plated golf clubs, and I mean, even Titleist has got their concept line, and I mean, you're looking at $500 a club for irons for their concepts.
Dude, they all keep their rangefinders on their belts as well. They put these little tassels on their tees to keep them from flying away. There's some strange. I mean, you're right. Like, it's very like it's much more of a social getaway, or like a business getaway, than it is like a competitive experience. If that makes sense. Like it's much more convivial when you're riding in a 4-person cart with or really a 5-person cart. There's caddy plus 4 people. It's a 4 bags strapped to the back. It's a very interesting golf culture over there.
So one last question we're gonna ask you, and this is gonna come out after Riv, but your thoughts on Tiger teeing it up, your thoughts on him winning it, or what his ability is going to be this week to top 10, top 5 What's your thoughts on that?
I hope it warms up because it was pretty cold this morning. That's not great for, the old body, I don't think. I don't know. I don't think I need to see more out of him before, I just need to see him like get through 4 rounds in one piece. Like it was admirable what he did last year, but it's not sustainable or it's not healthy. Right. Like Riv, like I wonder how he's going to get up like the hill behind 9 and the hill behind 18. Like, like that's a big walk in and of itself. Plus all the other stuff he has to do hosting this week. It's like I feel like he's probably got a little bit of magic left in him, and I'd rather see him use that for. It sounds like the leg is better. It's more like the ankle now. I'd rather see him use some of that magic for like, opens at Hoylake this year. Hoylake's very flat, right? Like, be fresh for that. I want to see him play Harbor Town. Harbor Town's the easiest walk on tour, right? Like, like go play there. You can hit irons, like I feel like some of it too is just his full swing looks good. It's like his putting and chipping feels like it's not in the best place, or at least the last couple of times we've seen him. And that's probably just because he can't, he can't stand up. He's got the plantar fasciitis last year. Can't stand up to practice, right? He's not getting the reps. And, that's always been like, yeah, he's a great putter, but part of the reason he's a great putter is because he practices his ass off, and yeah, so it'll be interesting. I'm not like, I don't think this is the week or anything like that, but I think I don't know if he's got another win left in him. I doubt that, but I think he's got some decent flashes of good golf still left in him, even if it's just one round here or there. Like I think he's got a 66 still in him.
I think your boys over at FootJoy are probably absolutely loving seeing him in some FootJoys instead of Nike.
Yeah, that's truly wild. I don't know how much they want me to talk about it, but yeah, I mean, it's like, you would think that, I don't know, you would think that like Nike could make him something custom. But
well, they used to make a saddle shoe. Like his second shoe he ever made by Nike was legitimately a copy of a FootJoy, saddle shoe. Like
I feel like he really likes stability, right? And he did even before the first big ACL surgery and all that. But like, I feel like it's, and I'm the same way. Like I like old school shoes. I like having spikes in there, soft spikes in there. Like I'm not a big, spikeless guy, because I just feel like it's like there's 3 swings a day that I'm gonna slip on. I know I'm gonna slip on them, or if it's a certain kind of grass or it's wet out or whatever. But I like a really stiff, stable shoe, especially like laterally. And I feel like Tiger's kind of the same way. Like, I don't know. I tend to move my feet a lot, and I like feeling like I'm glued to the ground.
I think since Nike has kind of moved away from like the Flywire and a lot of the technology they used in the earlier Tiger Woods shoes that gave him that stability, I think that has been the biggest thing, because last year's model of Tiger's shoe was absolutely like dog shit. It was almost they shouldn't even have put a Tiger Woods logo. Like the one Scotty Scheffler plays.
Yeah.
It's probably the most like mundane, boring, like it's just a normal.
I
Nike
like them
line
a lot. I wear those. Those are like my preferred shoes. I'm not ripping. I'm just saying like
if you wore like the 2012s, the 13s, the 14s, which were like his epitome of like the Nike shoes that he did, it's like night and day. I mean, they're re-releasing the 13s. I think comes out in like a week or so. But they're also $240, which that's on another podcast, another thing. I mean, Nike's fucking crazy when it retailed at $160, but they're
FootJoys that blow me away are the ones that are the traditions. I keep telling them
good.
I'm like, dude, like you guys are underpricing these by like $40. Like they're indestructible. Like you could buy one of these, you could buy a pair of these every 3 years, and like they
The
don't wear out.
cushioning system is so comfortable on the Traditions too.
Crazy.
That softer sole. Like I think I have 4 or 5 colorways of the spiked ones.
And they've got some great colors coming out this year. Of like, you know, they're just changing up the sole color a little bit, but like it's the perfect shoe for like a golf trip.
Yeah,
where like you're gonna get a couple wet mornings. You don't like you want them to dry out quickly. They're light. They got a ton of cushion in them. Like they're awesome.
And the great thing is they're now going towards the spikeless side. I know you're not spikeless guy, but like they're now going with that multi-traction spikeless sole that they've been doing on all of their other stuff with like the Flex and some of the other models that FootJoy has been doing for years. And I think they're just going to kill it. And I'm with you. 130 is like, knock me over the head, take my credit card. Like that is probably one of the best bang for your bucks when it comes to a really good quality golf shoe out there. I mean, they're undercutting everyone.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've never been able to wear the Nike stuff because it rides up on my Achilles. Like I get the worst, like weirdest, like I've got some Air Max, you know, the Air Max ones, like the all white Air Max ones or whatever. Like they're great. They're super stable and all that, but like I just get the weirdest blisters, like above my, like at the very top of the back tongue. It's the same thing with like some Jordan ones I've got. I just can't seem to. I just don't agree with my lower leg.
Yeah, well, that's good to know about the Traditions because we're like, I'm actually in March, first week of March, I'm doing first ever full blown Bandon trip, and so I'm trying to think like, what are the shoes? What's the best one? Like, I'm trying to do shoe prep for Bandon, so that's good to know.
And they're so light too. Like you could put 2 or 3 pairs of those in your travel bag and like the same weight as like 1 or 2 pairs of other shoes. So.
Yeah, they're way lighter than your Air Max 90s that you have. Like, they're incredible. If you're going to get a pair that you're going to want to wear for, like, multiple days, get a pair of those.
Yeah, totally. What's this tipping story you've got, Ashton? I saw on here.
Oh, we went last year, my girlfriend and I, there's a bar over in Oakland called Viridian. It's wonderful. It's like it was like during Chinese New Year, they had this special kind of bespoke, it's just colorful. It's a wonderful place. And we had been told by her sister, who's like the most hip person on planet Earth. Like she knows about restaurants opening up before we do. And she lives in Brooklyn. Like she'll tell us where to go. And we went there and we sat at the bar and we ordered our drinks there and they had good food, but it was very much like almost like food truck. Like you'd order on the phone and they'd bring it to you. Whatever. Totally fine. Don't care. But at the end, we get our bill. And you guys have been talking about on the Trap Draw about, the screen and kind of the awkwardness of what that can do. Legitimately, one of the food runners, it wasn't one person, it was like the whole staff. They bring up the iPad and like they're holding it where like they are looking at it also, essentially. And the options were 35, 40, and 45% tip. And I'm not trying to be that guy who's like, you didn't do a whole lot, but it's basically like food running, essentially.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like the first time in my life when I ever like paused and I went pale and I like made eye contact with the person. I was like, I got all bashful and I was like, I'm going to have to do some math real quick. Like, what was the subtotal? Like, the options here, I'm sorry, I don't give 35% as a tip.
How much was the
literally
food?
Ever. I mean, we had a couple drinks. I mean, it was probably like $120, $130 tip or $120, $130 meal. So, I mean, probably like tipping like $50.
That's insane. Yeah.
But again, just the premise of like they're holding it like this, right? They're like you're going to look at this at 35, 40, and 45%? Like,
isn't like part of the whole thing on like, all the mobile stuff is like you can tip via your phone to where like,
right. No,
like when the person drops the food off, like it's like a frictionless thing. Like, hey, I already paid on my phone.
You want me to order on the phone, but then you want to have the accountability of me hopefully pressing like 40% on a tip. So when y'all started to talk about that, I was like, yeah, this has gotten out of control. Like, but that's the most egregious example I've ever seen. Period. End of story.
Yeah. It's yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like some of it's like, you know, 20% sealed, 15%. I'm fine with, you know, like I used to work in the service industry. My wife still works in hospitality. Like, I get it. Like, but also like, yeah, I think we need to have a broader discussion as a society about like how broken our restaurant industry is, you know, and just, you know, how that works. Like, restaurants are just, you know, way underpriced, I think, overall, and like chain restaurants have kind of poisoned the well on that front because they've made it like a $10 burger is you know, a doable thing when like that's not a profitable thing for any restaurant, but they have economies of scale and, you know, mass. I don't know. It's a whole, like, there's like so many downstream effects and like upstream stuff that like rolls into it. But man, it's frustrating.
Yeah. Well, it's just two citizen podcasters who say thank you for monitoring the situation, because it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I cannot believe how awkward this is to explain to you why I'm not going to give you a 40% tip on food running. And now it's really awkward, and you're watching me and I'm uncomfortable and I'm sweating and I don't want to go back anymore because I'm like, if that's still their system, I can't do it.
I know. So, well, guys, this was fun. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Tron. It's always really fun to talk to you, man.
Really appreciate you being our first second time guest. So, you know, we appreciate you coming back on. And again, when you have a break, maybe again, beginning of next year, since it looks like that's when you have a little bit of extra time, we'll love to be back on.
Yeah, for sure. No, this is kind of my time of year at home. Just kind of, you know, January, February, trying to bank some time at home and catch up on things and sitting at my desk. So it's kind of easy to knock out pods. So happy to come back on at a regular interval, guys.
Yeah. And Mr. TC, if you come out, if you know the days you are coming out, I can start to try to finagle if we want to try to hit the Korean Michelin star restaurant while you're out here, I can try to see what I can do. So keep me posted on your dates and we can report back.
Shit, I'll tell you right now. I think fly in on let's see here. Fly in Friday, like late afternoon. Or no, actually probably Friday morning. And so so in town Friday would probably be the best bet. Friday the 24th of March. And I think I'm gonna take the red eye home after that on the 25th, the night of the 25th. I'm taking the red eye home.
Well, I'll see what I can do about Friday. So I'll see what I can do about Friday the 20th. Again, it's like I'm gonna have to like it's been like selling a kidney, but we'll see what we can do with Friday the 24th.
Yeah, I can always, you know, I can see if I have any favors to cash in out there too. I can try to make some phone calls.
Right now, it might be both your kidneys, but we'll see what we can do.
It's good, and a spleen or something, right?
Yeah, maybe an appendix.
Yeah,
awesome. Well, TC, have a great night. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Talk soon. Yeah,
Peace.